What is going on, babies? Baby Bones here with another tutorial, and this one is going to be on how to air dribble with air roll left. If you do feel this content is helping you out, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's get into free play and I'll show you how. Alright y'all, so first off, I'm assuming two things. The first is that you can already air dribble normally pretty well, because there's not much point in trying to learn how to use arrow left to air dribble if you can't air dribble. And then the second thing that I'm assuming is that you already have decent enough control and you're just looking to implement arrow left into your air dribble. First thing we gotta cover when we're talking about learning to air dribble with arrow left is the takeoff. When you take off the ground, you want to go immediately into a spin. So you pop it into a spin versus just going straight up for it. This is simply because if you try to double jump into it, you're going to be going forward with the boost initially, versus with arrow left, you're going to go straight up immediately. So it's just going to allow you to get under the ball a little bit easier than the normal air roll would. Now, this is a little different on walls, simply because you kind of already have a pretty good angle, but again, the same principle applies. Whenever you take off on the wall, you want to be boosting up as soon as you can to pop that ball up instead of pushing it out and away from you and losing control for your air dribble. The next aspect we really need to focus on here is your first touch, and I'm not talking about your pop off the wall or your pop off the ground. I'm assuming you already know how to do that. What I'm talking about is that first touch in the air, and why it's so critical to get a good touch is because with normal air roll air dribbles, you can kind of just get your nose on there, but when you're using air roll left to air dribble, it can be a little bit confusing as to which part of the car is gonna hit. So when you're trying to learn this, make sure you're focusing on getting that good touch that's up and not out away from you. Keep an eye on my controller overlay as I go through these, just so you can see the exact adjustments that I make. Personally, I've discovered there's a number of ways to get this first touch in the air, but the primary way, which we'll use 75-80% of the time, is very similar to how you would do it with a normal air dribble, and that is just going to be to put your nose right on the bottom kind of back side of the ball and make sure you're not going too fast. Very similar to a normal air dribble, but you're spinning this time and it's going to give you more control and a more delicate touch, and that'll put the ball in a great spot for you to control. As I stated before, there are many ways to get that first touch in the air. This next way I'm showing you is by turning that sideways spin velocity into an upward hit on the ball. And this is the really cool, unique thing about air roll left. This is a touch you just couldn't do with normal air roll, because you're just forced to go in whatever direction you're flying. You can't change that velocity up because you're not spinning. Now, you're gonna do this touch by either halfway through or a little bit after using that hood to pop the ball up, and you'll get significantly more height and more control on the ball than you would with normal air roll. I'm using Squishy's A Little Bit of Everything pack to do this. Around 5 shots in, there's the prime setup, and I'll link that code down in the description. Additionally, you can use this touch to pop the ball up if it's falling down, and that's another great way to save an air dribble. Now that we've gone over those two, the last way I want to talk about is just a normal air roll touch. Like, stop using air roll left and just hit it where you know you can get a good touch. There's nothing wrong with that if you know that you can get the good touch. It's going to be a little bit more obvious and a little bit more predictable, but it still gets the job done. So there are many ways to get that first touch. Now that we've covered the ways to get the best first touch in the air, we got to talk about control. Realistically, what you'll start seeing when you constantly air roll while air dribbling, you'll see the ball pops around a lot more, and that's because it's hitting the corners and it's not just being slightly balanced on the nose. And what you're going to want to do with to make that more manageable is to ease down on the boost. You want to feather a lot more, and you want to try and make as little adjustments as you can so that that ball isn't catching a corner or popping around as much. Ultimately though, this does help your unpredictability in the air, and it'll make it a lot harder to defend against than a normal air roll air dribble. On the flip side of this, if you're able to learn how to tornado spin very well, this will give you unrivaled control and actually give you more control than you would have with a normal air dribble, just because you're almost circling the force that you're pushing. You're not just hitting at a certain point. So take both of these into account when you're practicing. Another area I want to cover when it comes to control is adjusting your angle. So it's fine to let go of air roll left and then adjust your angle towards the net and then continue the air dribble, maybe even get a touch. And that's completely fine, and it's kind of necessary because of the way air roll left locks you into a certain direction. You might need to let go, adjust, and then continue. Alright y'all, so that should be everything you need to know to fully implement air roll left into your game. And yeah, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. My socials are in the description if you want to reach out. And have a good day or night.